And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next events. You know, I like to party with the people. Let me entertain you. Are you not entertained? Let's see. Oh, this week's shows, I'll be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas on Friday night. Yes, my one public show on Friday night as we break out of quarantine. It's been going reasonably well. Yeah, very well, in fact. It's almost feeling like old times. Yes, we're taking care of each other. The Rab on Friday night, 8 p.m. Come in wearing a mask. When you're interacting with people, wear that mask. Use lots of hand sanitizer. I have wipes for the microphones. It's a video dance party, karaoke jam. Yeah, I said karaoke. The place to be on a Friday night. Come on out to the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. 8 p.m. until 1 a.m. Yeah, have some fun. Full bar, kitchens open, pool tables, pool tournament, in fact. So if you want to try to make some money on a Friday night, you can join the pool tournament while you're waiting to sing a song on stage right next to me. KeysDAN, yeah. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Sunday, September 6th, 2020. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, protests continue in Portland, Hong Kong, Belarus, Israel. A myriad of protests continued or are set to continue this weekend, both in the United States and across the world. In Portland, Oregon, demonstrations against police brutality continued for the 100th consecutive day. Portland police declared a riot Saturday night after protesters hurled a Molotov cocktails in the street, sparking a fire. In Hong Kong, demonstrators returned to the streets Sunday to protest the city's Beijing-imposed national security law and the government's decision to delay legislative council elections for a year. At least 90 people were arrested. Meanwhile, thousands of Israelis on Saturday again gathered outside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's official residence, calling for his resignation over his handling of the coronavirus pandemic and corruption charges. And in Belarus on Sunday, despite a show of force from authorities, protesters set out to pressure President Alexander Lukashenko to step down after his disputed re-election. This is according to the Associated Press and Al Jazeera. Number 2, Harris predicts scientists, health experts won't have last word on vaccine efficacy. Excuse me. In an interview with CNN's Dana Bush that is set to air Sunday, Senator Kamala Harris, Democrat, California, the Democratic vice presidential nominee, was asked if she would receive a coronavirus vaccine approved before the November election. Harris responded by saying she, quote, would not trust Donald Trump and it would have to be a credible source of information that talks about the efficacy and reliability of whatever he's talking about, end quote. The senator added that she doesn't think scientists and public health experts will have the last word on a vaccine's efficacy. Quote, if past is prologue, then they will not. They'll be muzzled. They'll be suppressed. They will be sidelined, end quote, she said. Quote, because Trump's looking at an election coming up in less than 60 days, and he's grasping to get whatever he can to pretend he has been a leader on this issue when he's not, end quote. This is according to CNN and The Week. Number 3, 1 dead, 7 injured in UK stabbings as police hunt suspect. 1 man was killed and 5 people were injured after a series of stabbings in Birmingham, United Kingdom, in the early hours of Sunday morning. A lot of uncertainty remains, but police said they are still hunting a single suspect. Authorities also said the stabbings do not appear to be terrorism or gang related. adding that there were no links between the victims, but they did declare a, quote, major incident, end quote, which describes any situation involving serious harm or a security risk to the public and means special arrangements are in place for all emergency services to work together. This is according to BBC and The Guardian. Number 4, New York AG to set up grand jury in Daniel Prude case. New York Attorney General Letitia James announced Saturday that she would set up a grand jury to consider evidence in the death of Daniel Prude, a 41-year-old black man who suffocated in Rochester, New York, after police officers placed a hood over his head and pinned him to the ground during an arrest in March. Prude's family had accused officials of trying to cover up the death, and protests have erupted in Rochester since the case garnered public attention last week. The county medical examiner determined the death a homicide caused by asphyxiation in a prone position, but police treated the death as a drug overdose for months, pointing to PCP found in Prude's system. Now, James says her office, which became aware of Prude's death in April, quote, will immediately move to impanel a grand jury as part of our exhaustive investigation into this matter, end quote. This is according to the New York Times and the Washington Post. Number 5, Jacob Blake shares video message from hospital bed. Jacob Blake delivered a video message to the public from his hospital bed Saturday night as he recovers from injuries he sustained after he was shot 7 times by a police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin, in August. The shooting left Blake paralyzed from the waist down. In the video, which was posted to Twitter by Blake's attorney, Ben Crump, Blake said he has staples in his stomach and back and is in constant pain, noting it hurts to breathe, sleep, eat, and move side to side. Quote, you do not want to have to deal with this, end quote, he said, noting that his case exemplifies how people's lives can be drastically altered in an instant. He went on to urge people to, quote, change your lives out there, end quote, and, quote, stick together, make some money, make everything easier for our people, end quote. This is according to CNN and Ben Crump. Number 6, rescue efforts continue for campers trapped by California fire. At least 63 of the more than 150 people trapped by a massive, fast-spreading fire near the Mammoth Pool Reservoir, about 50 miles south of Yosemite National Park in California's Sierra National Forest, have been rescued by military helicopter. 2 of the people airlifted were reportedly severely injured. 10 were moderately injured, and 51 had minor or no injuries. Aircraft are reportedly continuing rescue operations. Remaining campers were reportedly unharmed as of Saturday and have been told to shelter in place until fire crews are able to gain access to the site and, quote, make that escape route nice and safe for them, end quote. The creek fire began Saturday morning and by evening had grown to an estimated 36,000 acres. This is according to the Associated Press and the Mercury News. Number 7, Germany suggests it could rethink joint pipeline if Russia doesn't support Navalny investigation. German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas suggested Sunday that if Moscow doesn't support Berlin's investigation into the poisoning of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, Germany could be forced, quote, to change our position regarding the Nord Stream 2, end quote, pipeline, a structure being built under the Black Sea that would deliver Russian gas directly to Germany, bypassing Ukraine. It wasn't a direct threat, and Moss acknowledged halting construction would also harm German companies, but it did show a willingness on behalf of Berlin to pressure the Kremlin through targeted sanctions. Meanwhile, British Foreign Minister Dominic Raab on Sunday said Russia, quote, has a very serious set of questions to answer, end quote, about the poisoning. Navalny is a leading critic of President Vladimir Putin, And German authorities have said tests showed he was poisoned last month, but the Kremlin has denied allegations that it was state-sponsored. This is according to the Associated Press and Reuters. Number 8, Japan braces for forceful typhoon. Typhoon Haishin neared Japan's mainland Sunday, weakening somewhat as it shifted further west out to sea. But it reportedly remains a forceful storm, bringing it with it heavy rain, storm surges, and triple-digit winds. Record rainfall is expected, and landslides and flooding remain threats. The typhoon was headed towards Japan's Kyushu region Sunday evening, and authorities have issued evacuation advisories for more than 7 million residents. After Japan, Haishin is expected to make landfall in South Korea on Monday, prompting the country to raise its typhoon warning to the highest level. The region just days ago experienced one of the strongest typhoons in years when storm Maysak hit. This is according to the South China Morning Post and BBC. Number 9, several boats sink during Trump parade. No injuries reported. Several boats sank on Lake Travis near Austin, Texas on Saturday, authorities said. The vessels were out on the lake for an event billed as a, quote, Trump boat parade, end quote, in which boaters displayed their support for President Trump. The Travis County Sheriff's Office confirmed they responded to, quote, multiple distress calls, end quote, on the lake, adding that, quote, a few boats have sunk, end quote. There were no injuries or medical emergencies. Audio recordings suggest, quote, very rough, end quote, conditions preceded the incident, and at least 3 boats sunk in the span of 30 minutes. The sheriff's office said it remains unclear how many boats went under, how many boats were towed, and how many people needed rescuing because other boats on the lake helped out before first responders arrived. This is according to CBS Austin and ABC News. Number 10, Authentic wins fanless Kentucky Derby. Authentic won the 146th Kentucky Derby on Saturday at Churchill Downs in Louisville. The iconic race was initially scheduled for its traditional date, the first Saturday in May, but was postponed until September because of the coronavirus pandemic, which also meant there were no fans in the stands. The first time since the race was run without spectators in its long history. Authentic's victory was considered an upset. The favorite, 'Tis the Law, won the Belmont Stakes in June, but it was Authentic who pulled away in the final stretch this time. 'Tis the Law finished second, so there will be no Triple Crown winner this year. Authentic was trained by Bob Baffert, who has now trained 6 horses that won the Kentucky Derby, tying the all-time record. The last remaining Triple Crown race, the Preakness Stakes, will take place in Baltimore on October 3rd. This is according to NBC Sports and ESPN. That's 10 things you need to know today for Sunday, September 6th, 2020. Thank you so much for listening. This has been What Makes You Smarter. I'm KeysDAN. Hey, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Also, I'd like to know what you're up to. How have you been doing? Drop me some comments, leave me a review, subscribe. Thank you so much for putting up with me as I stumble through the news. I'm just trying to get smarter. I'm trying to keep up with current events. And while I'm at it, might as well use this nice broadcast software that I got and keep you up with current events. Also, another thing that I've been doing is KeysDAN Gaming. I've been playing games online, streaming online. Lately, I've been playing Marvel's Avengers. That just came out, I think it was Friday. And at first, it was a little clunky because I didn't know what the game was up to. I didn't read the instructions. Who has time for instructions? But as I started playing, I found some action, some fun to be had. So you can watch me stream games at hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. Find it everywhere. Find it on your favorite streaming app. Hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. All right. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of y'all.